Hello, my name's Harry, and today I'm going to be drawing a little picture with or for you. You can see I already got started on this eyeball, but then the camera ran out of memory, so I had to delete a bunch of stuff. So we're back. I'm saying I generally start with eyeballs. It's pretty familiar. And I like drawing people. The eyeball is a good place to start. And then here's an eyelid. That's the top eyelid. And then here's another. That's the bottom eyelid. And I always like to add the tear duct. That little spot right there. The other side of the eye. And then I'm going to switch to orange. Blue and orange. It's pretty good. It's pretty good color combo. Well, there's your eyeball. I don't know. So here I got two options. I could either go to the left of the eyeball and add a nose, or I could go to the right and add a nose. You know, if I wanted the perspective to be straight on, or, you know, to the profile, I think I'm going to go down the middle. I'm going to go a little centrist and give him kind of a broad, flat nose. I just saw a woman walking by with what appeared to be a massive UPS package. It could have also been a 6-pack of Bud Light, or 12-pack, you know, one of those big ones. There goes another person outside, and they're wearing a colorful racing jacket. And I've sufficiently distracted myself enough to get this far into the drawing without really thinking about it at all. That's generally a good sign. I find it helps if I can just forget what I'm doing. Like recording this video. If you think too much about being recorded, it gets hard to operate, to function. Well, there's a mouth and an eye and a nose, and I'm switching back to the blue for a cheekbone. Nice high cheekbone. And here's the lower jib and the neck fat and part of the chin. And there's the bottom of the lip. Now this is a pretty standard face. I feel like I kind of draw this same face a lot. Almost looks like, I don't know what it looks like. I've seen this person in a dream. It's terrifying. You know, I was just going through a book of dreams from this year that I have written down, and I saw one earlier about the Civil War, and I reread part of it, and it was terrifying. It was, it's hard to say that the dream was bad, but it definitely was very scary. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and call it a bad dream. You know what? That was a no good piece of shit dream. Yeah. So there's an eye and some shading and green, and here's the right eye now getting established. And I love having dreams. They're amazing. They always make me feel like there's a whole nother world out there I can just step into. But sometimes they suck really, really hard. Especially when something's going on in my life that, you know, is really, you know, fucking annoying. And it's not even like I don't want to deal with it. Sometimes I just have dreams where, you know, you'll spend all day, I'll spend all day fighting this fucking demon, this thought, and, you know, thinking about it from every 6 different angles, you know, trying to crack the code or just obsessing over it. And then I'll go to bed and have zero respite from that and have terrible nightmares about whatever I was thinking about, and I can't get away from them. So, to be honest, the dream about the Civil War in that context was a good dream because, as awful as it felt to go through, and it was no fun for me or any of the people fighting in that war in my dream. That was really like a caustic, you know, terrible. There were people were getting crucified and burned at the stake and screaming, and one guy got crucified and he was getting burned alive, and he was like talking about how hot it was, and it was just like a low down, no good dream. And that's pretty much how you figure out a title, or if you want your guy to say something, you just kind of, I like to just let my mind wander, and, you know, the words come out. They figure themselves out. You don't really have to. See, I almost fucked up the W there, but I saved it at the end. It was almost a V, but then it turned back into a W, so that was a cool catch. Low, down, low down, low down, dirty, D-I-R-T, gotta enunciate the T, dirty, low down, dirty, or dirty, you know, sometimes that's it. I want to talk about phonetics for a second. Dirty. See, that's a tough word because I would put, instead of this T here, I would have, if I was writing the English language, I would have put a D there. Dirty. I think it's a little bit harder to understand, but I don't really like the R and the T next to each other. Ert is not, IRT is kind of a frustrating. That's just me, that's just how I feel at the moment, you know. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up and feel fine about it. But yeah, dirty. You really gotta lay into the words sometimes, you know. Low down, dirty dream, but it could be dirty. Just to real quick go back on what I was feeling, I don't like the idea of having a D there. I'll even put this ain't a good idea. I don't think that would be a good idea to have the D there instead of the T. I actually kind of like the T. Okay, back to the guy. I have a feeling that he might be had to completely dump the camera memory card because it kept running out of space, so that's the reason for the interruption. Alright, I'm back. The camera got all the space cleared off of it. There were some very cute photos on there. My siblings when they were pre-teenagers and figuring out what they wanted to do and who they wanted to be in the world, and photos that they probably I would hope would never see the light of day, not because of any, everybody's got those photos when they're a kid. When you're 14, maybe 12, actually probably better guess 15, 16, and you're wearing a lot of Aeropostale, and you're just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Like, you're not even trying to figure out what you're doing or why you're doing it. You're just in some fugue state. Like, you're barely even alive. Well, that's not true. I remember being very much alive at those times, but my motivations were quite suspect, I guess you could say. The things I wanted to do, still, by some standards, you could consider suspect. Maybe I had more figured out then than I do now. But one thing that hasn't changed is that I've been making pictures since that time. Messing around, making music, and videos on my mother's iPad since then. So I guess the motivation for that has stayed the same. Might still be suspect. Yeah, this drawing's coming along. This dream character. Make sure before I forget, I believe this character, like a lot of people, to have suspect motives. And really it depends on the day. There are days when I wake up and I feel like a very upstanding, honest citizen. And then there are days I wake up where just kind of like a black-hearted, low-down, kind of no-good scoundrel. And on those days, my motives are incredibly suspect. And there's a part of my brain, and I don't know which part it is, but that kind of questions all that, calls into question a lot of my suspect motives. And I guess I'm glad that part's there. Sometimes it makes a lot of sense to argue with yourself about things. Sometimes it's quite frustrating. I don't feel like I have a problem arguing with myself about this drawing, though. Again, it's just kind of doing its own thing. I'm like kind of just a passenger at this point, I would say, is my mentality. I know I'm drawing a face, so it's not like I guess some of the mystery has been revealed. And yet, there's always a chance that we could take a left turn and not really know where we ended up. I'm kind of feeling like a little this might be suspect. But I believe this character to just be, as the music crescendos, the lower jaw of the larger character. So see here, what we originally thought was the face straight on actually just happens to be a lower section of this character, who also has an eyeball. And we can call him Dennis. There's his eyeball. Kind of half moon shape. Here are his teeth. The teeth come down like this. Very important to take care of your teeth. A couple of my teeth are chipped from biting too hard on them without a mouth guard in jiu-jitsu. A long time when it was just, kind of didn't even understand how aggressive I was being. Not even to other people. I feel like I was pretty cordial to other people, but just to myself, and I haven't been back in a little while because I've been thinking about that. I love jiu-jitsu, but I also don't want to beat the brakes off of myself. I just don't want to destroy my body. I don't feel like I'm fighting it at the moment. So we're kind of living together in some sort of peace accord. And sometimes jiu-jitsu can bring out in me the violence, and it is a very violent pastime. Brings out, it's hard to describe. At least in me, I find as much as I want to destroy things and be the guy that's, winning all the time, you also kind of have this shadow side. I have this shadow side where it's Shadow the Hedgehog type behavior. I'm going to write that down here. Where I wouldn't say it feels nice to get beat up, but you're exhausted at the end of it, and there are very few cares left in your body once you're that exhausted. So, whether you want to take that logic maybe 6 or 7 steps further, and think about, that's, mock violence and mock fighting, and when somebody chokes you, they're kind of pretending to murder you, and when you get choked, you're pretending to die. And when you're exhausted after that, there's this satisfied feeling like there's nothing left to accomplish. You could say that that's somehow flirting with the idea of your own death and mortality, but again, maybe that's 6 steps too far. It's just my experience of it sometimes. It could also be not that. I feel like I've got a tendency to think about it too much. But that's the good part about this piece of art, is that I can just spend all this time overthinking the world and what might be going on. But I'm not really overthinking this piece of art at all. It's just kind of behaving in its own fashion. I'm going to go over here and write behavior. If you're in, I'm going to be honest with you, if you're in elementary school right now, this is a very big word for you. This is directed at all the middle schoolers out there. You gotta behave. Your teacher told me that you were fucking around when you shouldn't have been, and you guys gotta behave, or else we're not gonna get, our 6th grade field trip to Washington, D.C. is gonna get taken away. So I'd appreciate if you guys just behaved. Behavior. That's the subject of today's drawing. It's behavior. Good behavior, bad behavior, psychotic behavior even sometimes. Sometimes, the best among us. Sometimes you just have a take and you gotta backpedal on it. Just let the art figure it out. Not really my business. Oh my God. I hope the video picks this up. Oh my God. One day they'll have videos that you can smell. And that honestly will come with a lot more repercussions than people think. But for now, you can't smell the video. So, if you like 360 videos, but for smell. I'm going to turn this back the other way now. See how this little guy's developing. I think I'm going to switch to one of these, a Bic Ultra Round Stick grip. It's got the grip on it. Had to hiccup. I like these kind of looser Bic pens because I feel like I can get it darker quicker with these. I feel like they're always a lot looser than any of the other types of freaking pens I've got. Sometimes I feel like I hold the pen a little bit too tight. I don't want to hold the pen so tight, you know. I do not want to hold the pen so tight. Just want to be loose with it. This part of the drawing, I'm just thinking about what information I want to protect from this all-consuming void. Suspect motives. We can protect that. You know, making a piece of art's just like, for me sometimes it's just organizing and reorganizing a lot of information. It doesn't really have to do anything with like, I mean sometimes, you know, how it looks and the aesthetic beauty of something plays into it, but sometimes I just want to either emphasize a point or de-emphasize a different point, and it isn't, I don't really think about what gets covered up and what gets left other than like how that would end up looking. You know, I'm just gonna cover it up and hope for the best. And sometimes things that you don't want to cover get covered. It's making a weird noise. I'm not sure how I feel about this noise. But the circles are fun to make, so. Turned up the music a little bit. I got a binder. Stan, one of my roommates, got this binder full of jazz CDs. It's definitely been I don't know. I've been enjoying music that doesn't have words a lot lately. Sometimes I don't want to think about the words. And jazz is cool. Especially a lot of the jazz I'm listening to right now doesn't really have any. I don't know, maybe the songs have forms, but I feel like if the lyrics aren't there, then there's not. Camera stopped again. I don't know why. I hope it was recording. Who knows how long it was recording for. Maybe this will just end up being a video of me talking to myself, staring into this GoPro. Oh my god. Now I'm drawing without even looking at the thing. Man, I hope it turns out okay. Oh jeez. I think I've been enjoying too the improvisation of the jazz. I like that a lot of it's just kind of freeform, made up. It's just kind of willy-nilly. Obviously there's some structure, but people are just having a good time. Or maybe a bad time, I don't know. Sometimes I do things and I know I'm gonna have a bad time, but that's what I go into it looking for. Weird. I don't know why. It's not even like to test myself or anything. I'm just like, this is about to suck. For no reason. Now realizing this might be copyright. So, I want that. This freaking guy's coming along. It's now kind of hit like I wouldn't say, maybe dull's not the right word, but just like kind of a low point in the drawing. A lot of the novelty has faded off. Just kind of been in black for a little while. There's not really space on this paper. I mean, I don't know what I meant. Yeah, Sometimes the idea just gets away from me. Oh well. Now is here where we bust out the really big black ink brush pen, and just really make a whole lot of this black. Sometimes it's just the only thing that I'm trying to make is a big ass mess. And I don't even care about things looking or sounding or feeling any kind of way. You're just, I don't know, just trying to make a mess, I guess. That's the cool part about recording, is you can see the whole process. Sometimes I feel like you see a very messy piece of art and you wonder how it got there. Like, what steps did it take? That's really cool. It's kind of evil. I don't know, he's not even malevolent. Weird. Wonder what this guy's up to. I can feel it. He's pretty much close to done. There's a couple things left to define, but should get a lot of black in there. Dude, I wonder, sometimes I just wonder, like, what could this thing be up to? Why was, yeah, I guess maybe why is not even a good question. Perhaps it's just better to just appreciate, or actually what I'm feeling right now is a strong amount of dislike. I really don't like this. Not one bit. I think it's, like, ugly. But that's, I don't know, enthralling. Kind of feel a lot of hate and malice towards this little, like, weird spilled ink looking. That's the end of the CD. Wow. That was an adventure and a half. Holy moly. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for, I have no idea what to thank you for. Thanks.